Today on Around Kansas, Deb invites us to some events coming up around the state. Next, a fun story about the Missouri River. Then on the front porch, Angie Toews visits with Clint Armstrong from 1524 Brew House in Clay Center. Next, Ron Wilson takes us back in time with his poetry, and we'll end with some clips from the NASA interview between Missouri boy Brad Pitt and Kansas astronaut Nick Hague.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on three main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome to Around Kansas. I just could not think of a more beautiful place, hang on, sip of coffee, to come to you from than the deck of my friend Steve and Mary Ann Tennant's lovely home in Leavenworth, Kansas. And Steve and Mary Ann have been such dear friends for so many years, and so kind to Dr. Jake and me when we have business here or things to attend. And their home is our home, and it's wonderful. So, October, folks, oh my goodness. And the leaves are falling. Just a few minutes ago, there was this beautiful cascade of yellow leaves around me. Oh my goodness, it's so gorgeous. Fall is such a great time to be around Kansas. Okay, lots of stuff going on. I'm speaking tomorrow night in Dodge City at the library. I'm so excited. The paranormal is not abnormal. I promise you, this will be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it. The Army called it home. The candlelight tour at Fort Larned. And this is such a great event. The tours start at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale now. There are 12 tours. They leave every 15 minutes. They always do a great job with this event. A lot of volunteer hours go into this, and it's beautiful, filled with history. It's just an amazing event, so I strongly encourage you to take advantage of that. Then on the 13th, there will be a screening of the documentary produced by the Fort Harker Guardhouse Museum and the Historical Society there. That's at 3 p.m. at the Messiah Lutheran Church in Hayes. So go tell our good buddy Greg Heller that Deb sent you over. Watch for Dr. Jake and a lot of our buddies in this film. It's really wonderful. We so enjoyed helping Fort Harker with the making of this, and I think you'll find they did a wonderful job. Then on Sunday, October 20th, there will be a screening at the Ellsworth Junior and Senior High School, and that's at 1 p.m. And so that's going to be the hometown premiere for the Fort Harker film. And again, congrats to Greg Heller, Old Sarge, and you can watch him every Saturday morning live. He reports live, coffee and donuts with Old Sarge at the Fort Harker officers' quarters, and it's just fun to catch up and see what Greg is up to, and I keep threatening to show up in person one Saturday morning and enjoy coffee and donuts really live with Old Sarge. And of course, while he's doing that at Fort Harker, we'll be having the Smoky Hill Trail Conference at Fort Wallace, the fightingest fort in the West, and we look forward to hosting a lot of folks there. Well, obviously, on the road a lot lately. Just got back from a week in St. Louis with the Santa Fe Trail Association, which was awesome. And it got me thinking about our rivers, and I took a riverboat cruise, and that was so much fun. So that's going to, you're going to see a lot of that. My trips this summer are going to start showing up a lot on around Kansas. And, wherever you go outside the state, look for those connections back to Kansas. And I know you'll find bunches of them because we're a pretty cool place. We've got some pretty cool people who've done some pretty cool things all around Kansas and beyond. Stay with us.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
Well, while in Missouri, or while in St. Louis actually, Joanne Van Covern and her husband Greg and some of our other friends with the Santa Fe Trail Association took a riverboat cruise, a dinner cruise, and I was thinking while on the Mighty Mo about those people who had taken riverboats in the early days to the Kansas Territory, and just all the people who had traveled that river. And I thought about where we live in western Kansas on the Smoky Hill, and how that water in the Mighty Mo right there came all the way from eastern Colorado and western Kansas. What a great connection. Our rivers are barriers, but they're also byways, and they're the arteries, they're the lifeblood of the nation. And man, we've got a pretty significant one and a pretty big connection with the Mighty Mo.
As a child, I watched the sun go down over the Blue Ridge Mountains, sinking behind Fisher's Peak and Fancy Gap on the Virginia-North Carolina line. Our lives had a soundtrack, and a part of the soundtrack was the song Shenandoah. While the valley and the river by that name were both north of us, we were part of the same Blue Ridge Mountains, that great blue wall that had to be overcome in America's move to occupy the continent. I imagined what lay beyond those peaks, the prairies and plains, the rivers and the Rockies. I imagined the West, as those pioneers had imagined the West beyond the Blue Ridge. Away we're bound away, across the wide Missouri. I grew up, crossed the Mississippi and the Missouri, and made Kansas my home. Over the course of those years in Kansas, I have seen the wide Missouri many times. In 1993, when the levee was breached in Atchison, I stood on the overlook at Benedictine College and beheld a mighty river that had claimed the bottomland as far as you could see. The Mighty Mo, the Big Muddy, too thick to swim, too thin to plow. America's longest river forms the northeastern boundary of Kansas. The relationship of Kansas with the Missouri River is far deeper than the map would suggest. The Missouri brought French trappers to what would become the Louisiana Purchase. It brought Lewis and Clark to our banks, and it brought the Free Staters and the pro-slavers to Bleeding Kansas. Our Kaw or Kansas River formed at Junction City by the Republican and Smoky Hill rivers, pours into the Big Mo at Kansas City. Steamboats plied the river, bringing goods to the docks at Leavenworth and Atchison, some even venturing up the Kaw. The Steamboat Arabia Museum in the city market area of Kansas City is one of the most exciting finds in American archaeology, offering us just a clue of the treasures buried in the mud of the Missouri. Fine china and logging chains, pickles and perfume, buttons and nails, hats and boots and bolts of cotton, everything one needed to make a home and a living in 1856 was contained in the Arabia, buried for decades in a Kansas cornfield. When we think of what is wild and wonderful in the great Kansas outdoors, our rivers are a big part of that story. The tributaries of the Missouri define the upper reaches of our state, and the tributaries of the Arkansas, which eventually joins the Mississippi, are the arteries of the lower half of the Sunflower State. These waterways have been the lifeblood of the plains for thousands of years, providing food and transportation, sustenance, and sport. Explore our rivers, and if you get the chance, take a riverboat along the mighty Mo. Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Clint Armstrong, co-founder and brewmaster at 1524 Brew House in Clay Center, is our guest today. We talked in the brew room, and Clint explained how 1524 became a reality.
I want to talk about where the vision started, how you decided on this area, all that went into this, because I mean it's a massive project.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of fun too because we have there's 3 different stories really. There's Scott Patterson's story, and then Ken Hughes' story, and then kind of my story. And so trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I definitely wanted to open up a brewery. And Sarah and I had kind of just we said let's do it. Let's find a way to make it happen. And so we just started looking at buildings and just looking at, a few of the little places for sale. But for me, I always wanted to be downtown. So, just trying to kind of figure out what we could do downtown. And you know, if you remember, they had the big barbecue sign out front here, and there was just a sign, and it just said, you know, for rent with a number. And I don't even think there was a name, and so I had never really met Scott, or to my knowledge, I mean, we had been into the pharmacy or whatever, but it's not like I knew him by name by any means. And everybody I talked to around town, you know, they knew that I brewed beer, they knew that I wanted to do something in town, and they just, you know, they kept telling me, and it was like repeating, like, why don't you call Scott, or why don't you call this number, or blah, 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 call that Brady's Barbecue restaurant or whatever. And I kept hearing Scott's name and just this building, and of course I would drive by it more times, you know, just to drive by and just kind of like daydream, if you will. And so finally, you know, after God gives you so many clues and so many, like, hey, push forwards, and you got to, you know, take the jump and do it. And I called Scott up, and I just asked him, you know, how much the rent was and blah, 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 and just trying to let him know what I was planning on doing. Then he called back, and he's like, well, you know, what are you looking to do? And I was like, well, and I told him my background of being a brewer, and then I wanted to open up a little tap room, and that's all I was getting a loan to basically just open up a little tap room, and, you know, maybe have cold cuts, and then see if we could develop into a restaurant one day. And that was kind of the thought process, because I had no workforce. I mean, it was going to be me, and hopefully, you know, a sign on the window would bring in a couple of people from time to time, so I would have some help, you know. So he's like, well, what about a partner? And I was like, well, you know, what are you talking about? And so we all just started getting together and kind of getting to know each other. And then I met Ken, who'd been doing some home brewing. And then, you know, Scott just was eager to do it and was down to make it happen. And so we just said, okay, let's go. And so then we had to work out a name, and that was just where it started. And so we came up with a name and kind of a time frame on when everybody was going to kind of stop their day jobs, or Ken and I anyway, and just go full-time here and start making it happen, and it just started going. And that's... Now,
let's give everybody, what was the time frame from actually making that phone call to everybody saying, okay, we're
It was probably about 3 months, I would say, that, and there was, you know, the first phone call and then several meetings, and then the meeting where we all just said, let's do it, we're in. Probably took about 3 months.
And so then what was the first steps to, after the paperwork was done and you were headed here?
The first step, we wanted to make sure that we had a kitchen manager, and we had one, and that fuzzled out really quick, and so we were like, okay, so let's just start building and figuring out what we want to do. And so the first step was really to come into the building and see, you know, what do we have, what can we do, what can we pull off, and where can we do it, and just kind of figure out the logistics of where everything's going to go and what we might need.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm, so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind, and we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Cowboys love to eat, and it was an essential part of modern day life as well as the old cattle drives. And so the cookie was a very important part of the crew in the old times of those great cattle drives from Texas to Kansas. This poem is a tribute to that chuck wagon. It's called Our Friend Chuck Wagon. An army travels on its stomach, a wise person once said, because a food supply is important when a group's marching ahead. We have to have food when a group is on the move. It's essential to life and to keep us in the groove. That's true for armies, as seen from soldiers' leadership, and for others, such as a lengthy family trip. And it was also true in yesteryear on cattle drives of old, when longhorn herds came north with cowboys brave and bold. Those cowboys had to eat, so a chuck wagon came too, with food supplies and a cook to make it do. It might have sourdough for biscuits, lots of pots and pans, with coffee, dried fruit, beans, and maybe something in some cans. The chuck wagon would roll along, accompanying the herd, to serve the cowboys food when the boss would give the word. We give thanks for this system, which former history reveals. I guess the chuck wagon was the original Meals on Wheels. Happy trails.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
I absolutely love watching this film clip from NASA with Brad Pitt, Missouri boy, visiting with Nick Hague, who is about to complete, if he hasn't by the time this airs, his 200 days in space. Our Kansas native son, who is an incredible astronaut, so articulate. And this conversation was so much fun because Brad Pitt's new film, Ad Astra, if that's not a Kansas connection, I don't know what is. But he's just got all the excitement of a child in visiting with Nick Hague while he was serving on the International Space Station. So be sure you go to the NASA site, on their site or on YouTube, and watch this entire interview. It is so much fun.
By the way, you're from Kansas, I'm from Missouri, so we're neighbors.
It's a good part of the country. I've taken lots of photos of it over the past 6 months.
I bet. Please tell me, what's a spacewalk like? What do you feel?
Yeah, so you really are, when you get in your spacesuit, you're putting on your own spacecraft. And so as you embark out through the hatchway, the first thing you see is the Earth 250 miles below, and different than the perspective you get inside the space station, the helmet really provides almost this 180 panoramic view that's unobstructed, and you very quickly forget that there's anything between you and the vacuum of space. Really, the only noise you hear is the quiet hum of the ventilation system blowing fresh air behind your head to support. That's your life support system, and then you find yourself going to work, working with the team on the ground and being focused on the task. But there are these special moments. I can remember one from my last EVA where I was out on the very front of the space station, and I was getting ready to pack up a bag and come back inside, and I looked up, and there was just the Earth, the curve of the Earth, and terrain coming underneath me, and I could feel the speed of the station. We're going 17,000 miles per hour through space, and I could feel the speed of that as I'm riding on the front, just looking out over everything in front of us. And it's just, the emotions that just wash over you are just hard to describe.
Amazing. Nick, last question, and I need to call on your expertise. Who was more believable, Clooney or Pitt?
You were, absolutely.
Nick, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, a real dream of mine. I can't wait to brag to my kids. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with me and to watch our film. And all my respect to what you guys are doing up there.
Well, thank you. Thank you again. What you do and what you're able to do through storytelling to inspire the next generation is so critical to the success of our programs in the future. You know, my generation, I am not going to be the person that steps foot on Mars, but the children that are watching your movies, those young adults that are watching your movies, are the ones that are going to be inspired to achieve great things. And it's the power of those dreams that you inspire that is going to propel us successfully into the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. All the best, and all the best to everyone up there.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
What a lovely morning. I hope you're having a great fall. Take care. I'm Deb Goodrich, and I'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Do you need to replace a bed in your home? Now is the time. The Mattress Fundraiser is a way for you to save money on a new bed while supporting local school programs. What is a Mattress Fundraiser? A one-day event hosted by a school near you where you'll walk into a showroom just like you'd find in a retail store, only it's in a school. With over 20 beds on display for you to try in a relaxed, friendly, and no-pressure setting, you're sure to find the right bed for you. And once you do, we'll order it in whatever size you want, including custom sizes. We offer name brands like Simmons Beauty Rest. Your new bed will be manufactured to order, brand new, and have a non-prorated factory warranty. Take your new mattress to the next level with our premium pillows, sheets, mattress protectors, and bed frames. For the ultimate sleep experience, we offer adjustable power bases to give you the best the bedding industry has to offer at great savings compared to retail stores. Every purchase benefits your local high school programs. Our unique business model with minimal overhead allows us to offer low prices and raise great sums of money for the groups we work with. We accept all forms of payment, even layaway. Delivery options are available. Sleep better, knowing you made a difference.
Shop for your next mattress Saturday, October 19th. Save money and support the Topeka High School Band.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.